Hello guys, this is the first lecture for physics. And I would like to start with algebra. For physics. Why is this important? A lot of math equations, a lot of physics equation actually, will be in math. For example, F equals kx. This is called Hooke's law. You're gonna learn that later. Or F equals ma, etc. Or a lot of equations are in algebra, and you gotta know how to manipulate those algebraic equation, and you gotta find out something valuable within the graph and in the data. A lot of physics answer will be on numerical data, and you're gonna find out acceleration, velocity, where's the distance, and stuff like that. And it's gonna deal with math. So should I skip algebra? For this course, no. Algebra is very important. It's all about equations, especially first order and second order equation. And I'm gonna first deal with first order equation. I hope this doesn't take too long. I think it's gonna take about 15 minutes. It's going to be like algebra, then probably 15 to 20 minutes. This, I'll try my best to make it fun and easy to understand. This is one of the simple example of y equals mx plus b. Oh, don't confuse with this. Actually, for now, I'm gonna erase this. This is f equals ma. This will explain something different. This is called slope. You call it as slope, and a lot of them. This is for y, x, and b and m is called symbolic notations. It could be any, it could be z, it could be a, it could be anything. We just name it that way. For example, f equals negative kx. We're just naming this way. So you don't need to feel like, oh, I'm learning. Well, it's completely hard. No, it's just we're just using any kind of symbolic notations. It's not something that is very hard. And I'll keep going on algebra. Let's say we're trying to figure out the slope of this graph, this n. How would we figure it out? Let's call this as x2 and y2, and let's call this as x1 and y1. Slope is very important. For example, in f equals kx equation, k will be the slope. You have to calculate. The problems, physics problem will ask you, there's 100 Newton and the change of x is like 10 centimeters. What is the k value? How would you do it? You have a graph. How I'm gonna do it in fourth order equation? One of the easy way, it only works for first order equation, and if the slope is constant value, which is not changing, call it m is y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1, or change of y divided by change of x. Slope explains that how much does y changes over certain period of x, which is x2 to minus 1, to x2 to go while x2 goes to this one, how much y changes? It's about rate, change, and this is about change of y, change of x. For the after 2-second video, I'm gonna teach you some differentiation. That's solely gonna deal with change or change of x and finding this m. Finding m for first order equations are very easy, but what if the equation looks like this? Like, it's going to be hard to find change. That I'm going to teach you later. Anyways, you don't need this right now. And for algebra, let's say we're trying to ask what is y when x is equal to 0. We have this equation right here, then let's plug it in. If you multiply m by m to 0, then y, and then this will cancel out to be 0, so y equals to m. Get that part right? And let's say what is x when y equals to 0. When y is equal to 0, then 0 is mx plus b. You subtract minus b both sides. Then x is equal to negative b. Hope you can see that well. And that's very important. And what more I can tell? Yeah. Slope. And I have to explain you more about this. What does increasing m will mean? Say m is change of y divided by change of x. If f increases, this means change of y increases. Other way around, if m decreases, then y decreases too. At same change of x. This is what slope represents. So for example, when this graph, if m increases, by the way, this will be b, because when x is equal to 0, y equals to b, so we have to make sure that this is b, right? Let's say this m value is changed to, I don't know, n. Let's say y equals nx plus b, and let's say n is bigger than m. Then the graph will look like this, because at same change of x, the amount of y increases too. So this y goes to an x plus b graph, and this will be equal to b. So this was for first order equation. I hope this was easy to understand. I hope so. And let's move on to second order equation. Second order equations. What is this? Y equals to ax squared plus bx plus c. And let's say we have a graph like this. F1, F2, F3. Yeah, this one is harder to analyze than first order, definitely, right? How are we going to solve this x and see, and how much information are we going to take it out? A lot of good examples exist. For example, you're gonna learn this in later. Don't ask questions now. But there's equations in physics called kinetic energy is equal to 1 over 2 mv squared. Or there's an equation in kinetics called VIT plus 1 over 2 AT squared. A lot of physics equations are in second order. So how are you going to solve this? Yes, algebra is important and you gotta know the way to do this. And the way to solve for x, for this case, is x equals to minus b plus minus b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. It's very important. This explains, this is called also roots. This is finding what's x when y is equal to 0. And you define it, you just call it as roots. So when you make this as 0, then with every... Oh, before doing that, I'm gonna ask you one simple physics question. It's not... I mean, I didn't teach you kinematics yet. I'll give you the formula, and you can just solve it only using math. And I'm going to use this equation. Y equals to VIT plus 1 over 2 AT squared. The question is, the ball was moving at 10 meters per second. And solve t, the time it takes to fall to this ground while it's doing this. And by the way, the gravity is it's 9.8 meters per second squared, but for simplicity, I'll just call it as n 10 meters per second squared. And in order to solve this question, you can try it now, but I'm gonna try to solve it right now. So how can I do this? You know that y, the change of distance is 10, and vi is 10, t, right? You plug it in, vi is t, you know this is vi, plus 1 over 2, a is 10 meters per second squared. I'm gonna ignore this notation for now, t squared. Then we know that 5t squared plus 10t, and then I'm gonna do minus 10 here both sides, and minus 10 is equal to 0. How are we going to solve for t? Very hard. I mean, you can try to factor it out and stuff like that, but we have great equation. X equals to minus b plus minus b squared minus 4ac. This one is represented as this graph. So you can find this answer. One physics problem using this formula. You're gonna use this a lot during the physics. So you guys have to know this. Don't forget this equation. And other mathematical fact. B squared minus 4ac. If it's plus minus square root b squared minus 4ac, x equals to minus b plus minus square root b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. Every second order equation has 2x, right? So one of them has to be minus b plus square root b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. And other one should be, let's say x1, x2 equals to minus b squared minus 4ac. So would there be always two solutions? The answer is no. The reason is this. Look at this F3 graph. I call this F3. Does this have a root? Will this y, does y ever get to 0? No. Then there's no root. Then there should be no answer. The reason is because b squared minus 4ac, this becomes an imaginary number that does not exist. That's why it does not have solution, right? But what if b squared minus 4ac equals to 0? Then let's say if b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, you can see that no solution. If b squared minus 4ac equals to 0, this will be equal to 0, then that means this will be 0, so x will just be minus b divided by 2a, right? Then only one solution, as x equals to negative b divided by 2a. If b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0, then there's plus 1. If this is positive, so there will be x1 and x2. So this one, b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0, then it will have a graph something that looks like this, that has a 2 roots. If b squared minus 4ac equals to 0, then it's going to have a graph like this. Has only one solution, and x will be equal to minus b divided by 2a. If b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, then it's going to have a graph like this that does not go through the root at all. So that was it for second order equation. And lastly, I think log is something that is taught in algebra, so I'll just go really quick. It's not super important, but you use log such as in sound, and when you do some calculations with calculations and with exponent. That's why it's needed. Sound is actually noted in decibels, which is also also used as logs. I'll do this really quick. Log b of a equals to c is also the same thing as bca. And b is a base. I think a was argument. C is exponent. And let me make sure that you can all see this well. And just notice that it's just one of the easy way to convert. You can convert this to this because there's a lot of rules that you can use. For example, you can use, there's a logarithmically laws. My pronunciation is bad. I'm from Korea, so please understand. Log by, or log bx divided by y equals to log of bx minus log b to y. And log of b x of p is p log of b of x. You don't have to know this on mechanics, but sometimes you might need to use it when you have exponents. It's easier to calculate sometimes, to change to the log and calculate some part. And if you know some facts, a lot of decays, if you took some economics class, it's gonna express in EX. For example, voltage over capacitor is VO e to the negative, I think it was RC divided by time. If you have a formula like this, and for formulas such as e to the x, if you take natural log, which is this is also the same thing as log of e. If you take log of e to the x, it will come out to be x. Because of this fact, it's super useful when you do math, and you're gonna use this a lot when you do complex calculations, especially in exponent. This is horrible, but you guys have to know it. It gives you a great idea of decaying and exponent graphs. Alright, thank you very much, and I will see you on next trigonometry video.